Hi friends, welcome back to the game. I'm not gonna lie guys, that last episode was rough. I took a little nap. I'm recording this on the same day, surprisingly. Also, it's storming outside, so if you hear like rumbling in the background, there's thunder. I don't think there's any rain yet, but there's a lot of thunder going on. So, you know, storms are brewing everywhere. Let's see if we can, we're just gonna get into it. Who knows how long these are gonna be. So, what do you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in... Oh, that's Lana. Hi, Lana. The victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time. And a different suspect was arrested at the other crime scene. Lana! Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all matters, though. So, how'd it go? It's as Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. Plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind the simultaneous murder, they wouldn't see capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. But Lana, don't tell me you... Much to my regrets, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. Miss Skye. We discovered traces left by a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to Officer Drake Marshall. You found Officer Marshall's traces. Bloodstained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Skye? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach criminal affairs from the prosecutor's office. The victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. That's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial. One of my duties as a prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. In so doing, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. Now that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait? Very well, let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Oh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. He's adorable. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir. I am Officer Mike Meekins, sir. My occupation is, that would be murderer, sir. So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir, it was me, sir. I'm the one who did it. I'll never kill anyone again, sir. You gotta believe me, sir. Actually, what we'd like to hear from you is... Sir, I'm what you would call part of the younger generation, sir. A person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend. Hold on a second. He's 22. Speaking of, I'd like to look at the ages. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Help me, sir. His way of speaking does rub off on people, doesn't it? Officer Meekins. Yes, sir! Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir! As you wish. After all, I am part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir. You can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm. Crime report, sir. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life. Then I did it. After that, I passed out. Until another officer smacked me awake. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you? Do unto others before they do unto you! That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted, and a colleague helped you regain consciousness. Yes, sir! He knocked me upside the head, sir! Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more info to work with. In other words, press everything. Mr. Meekins, you work in General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir! I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir! Yikes. Now there's a scary thought. Evidence transferal was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir! The Blue Badger? Yes, sir! The lovely police mascot created by Head Detective, sir! I was to ensure it wasn't broken during the transferal process. So what's with the duct tape on his... I think it was broken. That was my sole mission for the day, sir! I see. Sounds like a very, important mission. After the award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around that I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? I spotted a suspicious man in the security screen. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir! I have one right here around my neck! So then, your ID number should be listed on here, right? Oh yeah, let's fill in some more blanks. There it is! I found it! This is the right one here. Could you please read us the number? Yes, sir! It's 498-9596. That's my number, sir! I see. But the number 498-9596 is shown as being used twice. Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. The first time was when I located the Blue Badger to the evidence room. And the second time is when I went to go get him after everything settled down. Okay. So it was during that second time when... Yes, sir! That was when I spotted the man on the security screen. Okay. So everything's still pretty good. Let me look again. The only person we don't have is the first one, which is all the sevens. Which must be important. I mean, otherwise it wouldn't be on here, right? The game won't give you stuff that's not important. It doesn't really do red herrings, which is weird. So you were attacked. Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? It was a knife, sir! A knife! Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then? Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You aren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be... When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. I fought for my life. Okay. Then he did it. What exactly do you mean when you say you did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really into kung fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. You took his knife. I spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. See. He must have been desperate. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of blood. And then the next thing I knew... Yes? He punched me right in my face, sir. Oh, poor Meekins. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious. Oh, right. According to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30. He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying tears of pain! That's nice. I mean, it's nice that you recovered, that is. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir, the Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now. I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor. Only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? He's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins. With regard to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my cell. Chief Gant delivered it to me just this morning, sir. The chief? Delivered it? What is that? A videotape? Are we gonna watch a movie? Yes, sir, that's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. Did it actually catch the crime? It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room. Aha. I think I remember this. Speaking of chilling evidence and things that get me, like the pictures always did. Say nothing to the video. Oh my goodness. But I specifically asked if there was such a tape and was told it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Well then, let's have a look. Shows the video of you murdering the victim. I love how, like, totally... He's just like, yeah, it was totally me. I did it. Oh, please stop using that word murder, sir. It scares me. A video of a real murder. Just what are we getting ourselves into? Yep, I definitely remember this video. Something seemed to have fell out of there. Oh, Mika's. Did he crawl away? Why wasn't he on the... Why didn't it show him leaving? The victim really did disappear. Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? What was that wriggling piece of plywood? Sir, that is the pride and joy of the entire Criminal Affairs Department, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. Why am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? So now we can watch that at any time. Yes, well, anyway, this tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter someone in the evidence room, and some sort of activity did take place. Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that all right with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir! As you wish, sir! His face can't be clearly seen in the video, but there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker, which required Detective Goodman's fingerprint to do. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. I mean, that's true. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can only be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have to have been Detective Goodman. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this cross-examination will lead, but everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. Yeah, there's no question there. Let's find out more about that. About these lockers, is there no other way to open them? No, sir! I myself tried all kinds of methods in the past. They only respond to registered fingerprints, sir. I wonder what kind of methods he's tried. If the man opened the locker's lock, which only responds to its registered fingerprints, then he must be the person the locker was assigned to. Exactly my point, sir! And this too. How do you know that information? I've heard rumors, sir. From people in the know, sir. People in the know. The workers in the department cafeteria, sir. They keep me informed. They also listen to my romantic troubles, sir. For the record, the opened locker did indeed belong to Detective Goodman. I verified this information from a more reliable source. So, the victim opened the locker with his own fingerprint. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. However, the most important detail is not shown in this video. The man's face. Sir! If I may say something, sir. Please do. After all, you are the one being examined. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in this case, sir. I mean, it was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock. And it was his hand that tried to thrust his knife into my body, sir. My unsettled state can testify enough to this, sir. Yes, you have a point. The footage doesn't lie. That is, unless the defense can find a problem with it. Mr. Wright, let's check the court record again. Is there a problem with the security video? Yes. So let's look at it and see exactly what we want to look at. Wait a second. Oh my goodness. Okay, I see what the issue is. There's also the other issue that you might have just seen just then, but that's clever. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there is one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not be Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction? Interesting. Your Honor, I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Truth. My propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. He would want me to point it out. I can very easily do that. Proposal accepted. Let us further inspect this piece of evidence. Now play the security tape. Please show us this contradiction you speak of. You can do it, Mr. Wright. I'll set it up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Okay. I can't stand to watch it. Please don't play it too many times. I can't stand watching this video. How did this guy ever become a police officer? Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Where is the contradiction that indicates the man might not be Detective Goodman? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, That's the one. Take that! Desk slam. The thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. Officer Meekins. Sir! Did you mean me, sir? As I understand it, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprint. If the print matches the registered data, the light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker, let's rewind it to a little earlier. Here, notice the light? What's this? It's already lit. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Order, order. What's the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. Objection! But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered. And the locker is automatically locked. Oh, I know, it must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction. Oh well, it just goes to show novices should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes, why wasn't the locker locked? I actually do have an... Don't be so nervous, Phoenix. I think I actually got this one. Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something like jammed the electronic system? Something jammed the sensor. Say, there is something else that seems out of place in this video. Yeah, I thought so too. There's got to be another clue somewhere in this footage. Very well, let's inspect the video once more. The locker wasn't locked. Mr. Wright, please point out the cause for this. Okay, I did see this. Da 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 da. Nope, that was it. Nope, go back. Take that! Desk slam. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. I don't know why it goes through it all when we've already solved it. This is just adding to runtime here of this gameplay. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened. I often fall out and roll great distances when I open my car door, sir. We can't be sure that item was in the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir! It's just like my tie! 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, my tie closed me, but the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator. Yes, an insulator. But at the crime scene, there just might have been something that fits the description. But sir, by insulator, you don't mean... I think I've finally got this figured out. Okay, this part was relatively simple. Will the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was this insulator that was stuck in the locker door? I found this near the locker, a thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins? Sir! It would appear so, sir! Order, order, order. So are we to believe, then, that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility and nothing more. The victim in this video is indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir! Me, sir! I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh! You mean that, sir! Of course, sir! Is this a joke? Very well, begin your testimony. If he says something about the card... There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir! To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. Oh, but remember where we saw it. We didn't see it near the victim. We saw it pretty far away from the victim. So if it was who we think it is, he's the one who dropped it during the investigation. Because he was investigating at that time. How careless, though. Maybe there's another explanation. It couldn't possibly be that simple. An ID card record, I see. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 5:14 is that of the victim. Just before the crime, Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. 'Cause his hair is super spiky. There are only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared out by noon. Right, I see. Now let's move on to the cross-examination. We still don't really know much about the SL9 incident. Let's press before I present. Press everything. Is that card hanging from your neck, one of these ID cards? Yes, sir! This card right next to my cuffs, sir. I keep it here so I won't ever forget it. But what if someone were to steal it from you? Keeping it out in the open like that. maybe I shouldn't wear it around my neck. Remember when I said 2 out of 3 times my tie gets stuck in my car door when I get out? Well, the remaining time my ID gets stuck. Instead of the door closing, my ID card chokes me. Maybe I should just leave this one alone. At any rate, each police officer has only one ID card. Both the police department and the prosecutor's office can attest to this. Please proceed with your testimony. Let it be noted that this is the record the witness is referring to. Let me see. Yes, that would be it. Detective Goodman. What's the matter? According to this, Mr. Edgeworth, your name is on here. So it is, Your Honor. Not that prosecutor again. Hey, maybe he's behind all this. Being a prosecutor, he could hide the evidence. Mommy, is that man in blue a murderer? Shh, don't stare at him. You've got the wrong color, kid. It would seem the inquiry committee will want to speak with you again today. I have nothing to be ashamed of regarding my actions or their consequences. For now, let us continue with the cross-examination. Poor Mr. Edgeworth. It must be so difficult for him. Yeah, he's having it rough, this case. Yikes. Earlier, I believe you testified that when you asked the man to show his ID card, he pulled a knife on you? Yes, sir! He didn't show me any ID card, sir! Don't you think that's odd? I mean, if he had his ID card, all he had to do was show it to you. There wouldn't be any reason to draw a knife. Maybe he just panicked! Everything stems from contradictions. Let's point them out. Mr. Wright, what do you think? I'm confused. What? The problem with his ID card testimony is far too obvious. It's not like Edgeworth to miss something like this. You're thinking too hard about it. Come on, let's just show them what we've got. Okay, let's do it. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. Lost item report. It's only half completed. But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Oh, he didn't lose evidence. He lost his card. Let me guess. You believe this something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order, order. So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order, order, order! Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo? Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman. There are 2 grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is... Well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. This isn't good. Well, well. It seems you've finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something, or else Lana... What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? Objection! One moment, Your Honor. What's now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not, but I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. Which means Meekins is innocent, right? However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. If the court were to examine this further, other witnesses would be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident to the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. I have a witness! I have a witness! Pick me! Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean... Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh, whom do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify. What is his other name? Take that! Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? Can't let him know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works at the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Looks like another short one. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court in recess. Yeah, that was a nice short and sweet one after last one. Oh, unless it's going to go right back into it. I thought it was going to be like trial form or trial ladder again. Maybe still. We'll see. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. What do you know? Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, You always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Oh, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it all off, you called me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, Detective. You better be, pal. Hey! Hey, 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 hey! I didn't see you there, Miss Sky. That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked? Oh, ho, 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 ho. You mean this, right? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? Do we finally get to find out what this is? But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case. Miss Sky was a witness? They look thick. Do I have to read through all of them? Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murderers. What? Now that I've brought you your stuff, you're gonna just ignore me? Emma, but why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number of the police filed under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as... the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark... No, Lana. That's over with. No! Emma, wait! She ran away. You know what? I just remembered I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. What is going on? Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. There's an interesting name, and I think I know why the detective was so all about it. Yeah, Jake Marshall was so gung-ho about it. Because of that. Alright. Knowing you, you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. Better take a good look at this file. And I will again, when we start the next one. Whew. Chills. Chills, chills, chills. At least I still got that going. Also, Emma just left. I guess we're just gonna... She's fine. She'll be fine. Well, now I'm actually interested in what's going on here. I'll have no problem continuing this case. So, tune in, and let's find out what's going on with the SL9 incident, and how exactly it connects to this current case. Because, yikes. Yikes, yikes. And what is happening? murdered the victim and what is going on and the picture and Lana admitting to it and oh my goodness. Tune in. And I'll see you next time. Talk to you then.